Hello world. Alright, I'm sitting in the office next to some main stem members, Kai and Michael. I'm not used to recording these things around people. Yeah, so hopefully they don't make fun of me since, they're pretty good at D3 too. So anyways, I won't be telling you anything wrong if they're here. So I'm gonna go over a stacked bar chart. Stack some data. Let's get started. So select my SVG. Alright, so really the trick to a stacked bar chart in my mind is data. And one of the functions that D3 gives you is a stacked bar chart layout, or stack layout. So the first thing you have to realize is that each of your stacks is going to be an array of data. And so I'm preparing an array of arrays. So my first one, I would have values like, so second one, there's some different values. But the way we're gonna use the stack layout is like this. We just say, returns a function, then we just call like that. And this modifies the data in place. But we're not quite ready to use the stack function because each of our data values needs to be an object with a y. By default, D3 looks for a y value here. So I'm just going to make like 5 of those. And we can go and change these as we see fit. We'll play with that in a little bit. But let's look at what our data looks like now. We have an object, and for each of these objects we we originally put a y value, but now we also have a y0. Let's look at this first one, 14. And so this y0 is actually looking at the stack below it. So if we do a third stack here, the y0 for this one is 14 plus 10, so 24. And now we can use this to actually render something. So layouts are always modifying the data and giving you new data that you can then use to show something. So let's make a group. I like putting everything I do into a group because then we can transform it. Makes it easy to move a bunch of things around later. Alright, so the first thing we're going to do is make our layers. And our layers are also going to be groups, because for basically we want to have a group of rectangles for each of these stacks. So we're going to bind the data. Now, enter and group. And for each layer, we will make rectangles in there. But we already bound our data, so what do we do here if we want this to work? We still need a data function, but we can pass in a function that just returns D. So this is like saying for each element of the data array that gets bound to this layer. So each layer has one of these arrays. Now we're going to do a select all and get each of these elements, each of these pieces of data per element. So when we do enter append, let's start here. We'll do set the width. Make it 30. For now, let's not make these data driven. After we have our height. X, we can do a function of di. Let's just spread these out a little bit. And let's make a color scale so we can more easily see that we're looking at different stacks. So we'll fill them with ooh, I'm sorry though. We don't want to color the rectangles individually. We actually want to color the layers. So we can use the style attribute. Oh, and all of our rectangles are the same height right now, so we need to fix that. So let's just go ahead and use the Y value for the heights of each one. And then here, let's do d.y0. So now you see we have stacks, and if we increase the size of that one, then we get a nice stacking effect. But of course it's upside down, and usually we want to scale things appropriately, not just use whatever the data value happens to be. So let's make a scale. So after we've stacked the data, we can use some convenient d3 functions like d3.max. Now this is running through each of these. When I say function d, it's iterating over this array. So I actually want to do this again. I'll use a b here instead. And here we want to return d.y. We did this maximum. So this will give us actually, there we go. So this will give us the overall maximum. So if we want a Y scale, we'll just go from 0 to our max, and then go from 0 to our chart height, let's say. And then we got to use this Y scale, so what do I do here? Now I appear to have some kind of bug, so let's play around and find out what it could be. So first I want to see, is my scale working? So if I give it 0, that's not good. Looks like this did not work as expected. Our max is undefined. Oops, of course. There we go. Alright, so now let's try that again. So you see you have to take a max of an array. I didn't specify the array. And then here, I'm not specifying it again. So let's just scale our heights to 300. Now we want to flip this upside down. So we're going to do the chart height minus, we have to add this d.y now. And there we go. We can play with how high we want the chart to be, play with our data, and we've stacked. Alright. So once I Peace.